Today we're going to talk about what plants do. But plants don't do anything, right? Wrong. The thing is, plants move slowly, and we move at such a fast pace, and we don't observe things moving at such a slow pace that it seems like they don't do anything, but they're actually doing a lot. One example of something that plants do is tropisms. If you watch this little video clip, you see the plant is opening its leaves to the sun, and it tracks the sun as it goes across the sky. This is an example of a tropism called phototropism. Photo means light, and tropism means turning. Now watch, as the sun goes down, the plant drops its leaves. It doesn't want to waste the energy that it needs to hold them up when it's not making any energy. So as the sun comes up again, up go the leaves to get ready to follow the sun again. So phototropism is a change in the direction of a plant that's caused by light. The next video is a really cool one. I think it was called Bowing to the Light God. These little shoots, these little baby plants, bend down to the light when the light comes on, and then they stand up straight when the light goes off. Another type of tropism is called gravitropism. So this time it's a change in the growth of a plant that's caused by gravity. So the little video that was just playing, if you missed it, just back it up and play it again. Someone tipped over the pot and the plant grew upwards, right? Because the plant's going to grow up towards the light, and you can't see in the pot, but which way do you think the roots change to grow? Of course down, right? Because that's where soil normally would be. So here's another example. And then that last one you might have said, well, that wasn't about gravity. That was because the lights were on, so that's why the plants turned up. So here's an example of the same thing, but it's in the dark. Maybe. Right? So the plants still know which direction that they should be growing, and they turn to go in the right direction. So what else do plants do? You already know they do photosynthesis, so let's talk about that really quickly. Let's start here. The giant oak tree that's outside the school, how did it go from a tiny acorn to that huge tree? How could something so small get to be so big? Where did all the stuff come from that made that tree? I bet some of you think maybe it came from the soil, it came from the ground. But if that were true, there'd be a big hole around the tree where the tree was taking stuff from the soil. And there's no hole by the tree. What's really cool is what's making the tree so big is invisible. It's the carbon from carbon dioxide. Isn't that crazy? Something in the air, it's in thin air, making the tree so big. But remember, it converts it. It changes the carbon dioxide and it changes the water into something else. And that's what allows it to get so big. So in photosynthesis, the energy from the sun is used by the chloroplast to break down that water and carbon dioxide. The atoms then reform in a different way to make oxygen and a sugar called glucose. The sugar is stored in the plant. Sometimes it's stored in stems, sometimes it's stored in the roots. And then the plant uses it during cellular respiration to make energy for itself. So photosynthesis does not make energy. The point of photosynthesis is to make glucose. And then the glucose is used by cellular respiration to make energy. So you already know this. Photosynthesis in plants has to take place inside a chloroplast. And it's important because it's the beginning of almost all food chains on Earth. Not every single one. There are some organisms that use chemicals, and that's how they get their energy. But for most food chains, it begins with photosynthesis. If we didn't have photosynthesis, there wouldn't be enough food for the rest of the members of the animal kingdom to eat. The photosynthesis equation looks like this. 6 molecules of carbon dioxide plus 6 molecules of water. And when that reacts with the chloroplast and the light energy, it yields 1 molecule of glucose and 6 molecules of oxygen. You don't have to remember it that way. So in English, you only have to remember it this way, just with the words carbon dioxide and water, produce, with the help of some sunlight energy, sugar and oxygen. You do need to remember this term, though, reactants. The reactants are the things that react together at the beginning of photosynthesis. And then you need to know what the products are. The products are what's produced. They're at the end of photosynthesis. So here's an image of what it would look like. You can either pause now and watch this brain pop on photosynthesis, or wait till the end and watch it. So here's a little quiz. What's missing? Yep, sugar. Which ones are the reactants? The things that react together would be carbon dioxide and water. What's missing here? Water. And what are the products? The things that are produced are sugar and oxygen. Where does photosynthesis happen? If you said a plant, you're only partially right. Where in the plant does it happen? In the chloroplasts. And why is photosynthesis so important? It's the beginning of almost all food chains. So what else can plants do? Well, some cool plants have figured out a way to get some nutrients that they're missing, specifically nitrogen. Plants like pitcher plants, as the picture seen here, and Venus flytraps, they have figured out ways to capture insects, and as they digest the insects, they get the nitrogen from them, which is missing from where they grow. Some plants can also climb walls. Think of ivy. They have flowers that bloom, and lots of other things. There's some climbing plants, flowers. All right, so here's a pretty cool clip. This is going to show a Venus flytrap, obviously. So what this person is showing is that if you tap like the inside part of the leaf, it doesn't really do anything, or the little parts that look like eyelashes. But if you see those little dark lines or splotches there in the middle of it, those are the little triggers. And if you touch a trigger once, nothing happens. But if you touch the trigger twice, then it closes. So it's kind of a safety mechanism so that the plant isn't using up all of its energy opening and closing when there's nothing there. So to make sure there's something there, an insect for it to consume, it waits till the trigger is touched twice, it knows there's an insect there, and then it closes on it. This is another plant. It's called a sensitive plant or a mimosa plant. It's not a mimosa tree if you happen to have one in your yard. It's something different. But it's called a sensitive plant because as you'll see, it's very sensitive. So the person held a lighter up to it and didn't burn it. It just felt the heat, and then all the leaves shut. It also does it when you touch it. I had one when I was in college, and everybody always came into the room and touched it, and it eventually died because we used up all of its energy because it was constantly opening and shutting its leaves. This clip, I think I'm going to add to the end, and you can watch it later. It shows a whole bunch of flowers opening. It's pretty interesting. This clip I will also add in the Google Classroom, and you can watch it there. It shows a vine, and it shows a behavior called twining. So it kind of sends out a little lasso, and it grabs a hold of whatever's near it and helps it to grow up. And that's it.